The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties.
Man, I got it my hand in my bag.
Buckeyes and trying to turn to the goal line. Puts the football over.
Cause man, I got it swag. Man, I got it swag. My
Hands to Gifty.
He stopped him.
You know I'm popping tag.
Bad snap. Bobble. Scooped up. Here come the Spartans. Down the sideline. Racing into the end zone.
He hits it! He hits it! He did it!
This is Sparta!
Obviously, you know, Michigan State has their work cut out for them trying to stop a dynamic quarterback in C.J. Stroud. But fellas, speaking of dynamic quarterbacks, we got one on the show today. We're going to bring on Drew Stanton, Michigan State legend, quarterback. How many years in the league? You're up there with Brady and them, right? About 12, 13. There he is, right there. The man, the myth, the legend, Drew Stanton. Welcome to the show, bud. Welcome to This is Sparta.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's good to see your guys' face. It's been way too long.
Too long.
Right. Last time I saw you was at the last year's Michigan game, and you had to bounce early.
Yeah, I listened to the victory on the way home. You know, I gotta prioritize them. My days of gallivanting around East Lansing are over with.
Wait, tell you that. Oh, man.
So how's things been going, Drew? Like, you're a retired football player now. You're hanging out with the kids, going to games.
Yeah, everything's good. I'm in Arizona. Made this home, and I'm doing some radio stuff for the Cardinals, which has been fun to kind of stay involved with the organization, be able to stay involved with the NFL. So it's been fun. It's super low key, but something I really enjoyed. And then I also started a podcast with a former teammate of mine called The Bobbled Exchange with AQ Shipley, who played at Penn State and then was a teammate of mine out here. So now we're just having some fun with it and seeing where it takes us.
Yeah, Drew, I know, you and I have been chatting it up as you're making your way back to East Lansing with the family for this weekend's game. And, tell us about obviously coming back home. You were here obviously last year, but, when you get to come to East Lansing and get back to home, talk about, the nostalgia and having, your family coming back to see the green and white where you used to wear it.
Yeah, no, this is a much different trip. So last year, it just popped up out of nowhere. I got a paid experience. I got a paid appearance to come back. So real quick, like the week of, because I believe it was MasterCard with the big noon kickoff. So that kind of was like, can you make it to East Lansing? I was like, for that, I can make it to East Lansing. So I was in and out. This one is a little bit different because we're bringing the family back. We knew it in advance. Our kids are off school Friday and Monday. And so my wife and I wanted to have the opportunity to bring them back. My sister-in-law still lives in the area. So being able to see cousins, be able to do all that, experience fall because it's still 90 degrees here in Arizona. So it'll be special to be back in Spartan Stadium because, as you guys all know, that'll forever hold a special place in all of our hearts.
Yeah, definitely, Drew. And let's go back to your time at Michigan State. And, you were a big, personality within the locker room with your teammates. Guys were attracted to your leadership, your work ethic, and everything. You were a quarterback. You wanted to be on the field. You played special teams as a quarterback. Not many people did that. And, so you were the heart and soul, and people followed you, and your work ethic, your attitude for Michigan State. And we might not have had the wins that we wanted to have, but what does, being a Spartan dog mean to you?
Well, I think it's just grit, right? It's the ability to push past what's comfortable and live in the uncomfortable, right? It's a mentality of saying, whatever it takes to be able to get the job done, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it with the people next to me because I got to rely on them, and they're going to be able to rely on me come thick or thin. And, that's something that was the way that I was raised, right? That was ingrained in who I was. So when I showed up to Michigan State and things weren't going the way that I would have hoped, I had to wait in line for Damon Dowdell and Steven Reeves to be able to get a shot to play quarterback. I just knew when my time came, I wanted to make the most of it. And, being able to be around some great men when I was there, especially Ken Manny is the one that probably poured into me more than anybody of like, hey, when your opportunity comes, you never give it up. And I was like, you know what? I got to be prepared for the future, because when the future comes, you better be ready to live in it. And that was some of the best advice that I got when I was a young man growing up in my time there.
Drew, talking about that, and you talked about grit and then being able to bide your time and wait for your turn. So many guys go into the NFL as quarterbacks, and they sit into the role of backup, and then they just can't take it for whatever reason. They want to be a starter, and they end up washing themselves out of the league earlier because they're not willing to do what it takes in order to be ready for that chance whenever the said starter goes down. You were able to do that and transitioned into that very well. What is the difference? What makes that a easier transition for some than others?
Well, I think it's a learned trait, right? You have to be able to identify what that is, because when you're the starter in college, you get every rep. You have the luxury of being able to see it and digest it and do that. When you get to the NFL, there's such limited amount of reps, as you guys know. So when you get to practice, it's so much more mental, and you find ways to engage and stay, relevant with what's going on. I mean, I remember, one of my best friends, I always became the offensive line coach because I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to be able to understand that, because blitz protection, all of those things are so vital to be able to survive in the NFL. So it all starts and stops with that. And so once I got a good handle on that and got into a routine, it was really when I was in Detroit. The first couple of years, I was just flying by the seat of my pants, and I was thrown out there and didn't have much success, and almost found myself out of the NFL before I even got a chance to establish myself. And so Sean Hill came to Detroit, showed me, okay, this is what a Monday looks like. This is what a Tuesday looks like. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so you prepare for this test you may never take. And I didn't take it for 4 years in the NFL. But when my opportunity came, much like I said at Michigan State, I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that I was going to show, hey, this guy belongs here. And not only is he great in the locker room, not only does he do all these other things, he can help us go win football games, because ultimately that's how you are measured in the NFL.
Absolutely. I mean, Drew, my recruiting trip, I was able to be introduced to you, right? I'm not going to throw our skeletons out there, but, when I saw you playing, I learned quickly of like, do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. And so when I'm on the defensive side, I knew that when we got a 3 and out, that Drew was going to go out there and do all that he could to get that first down and keep the chains moving. You've been watching from afar, right? What's happening right now with our quarterback. Peyton Thorne had a hell of a year last year. Coming into this year, a lot of eyes on him, a lot of things happening, and then it's not going as planned. But kind of take us through a quarterback's mind of what he may be dealing with, but also hearing the noise about the guy that's behind him that they want to give a chance. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, everybody loves the backup when the starter's struggling, right? That's how I was there, right? I didn't have a great senior year. I was dealing with some injuries and dealing with some other stuff, and just didn't play up to the level of expectation that we wanted to. Even though we were putting points on the board and trying to be successful, we just weren't winning football games. And so it's hard, because when you are a leader and you try and just steady the ship and stay the course, your confidence starts to get a little flustered. And you can see that with Peyton. You can see the way that he operated last year and how, as Jay, you talked about, right? When you're a quarterback, one of the most important things is when you step in that huddle is the 10 other guys believe that you're going to go down and get a touchdown, that you're going to be able to lead this team, that no lead is insurmountable to come back from, right? And I think right now what you're seeing is a guy that's starting to question himself, honestly. If we're being completely candid, is he's like, I know I can do it. I just have to go out and do it. And it's almost like you're forcing it, where last year he just let things come to him. He looked like the guy that was going to be able to go on to the NFL and do all of these things. And the level of expectation, then the bar sets that much higher, right? Like, you've got to be able to answer that bell. And unfortunately, he hasn't done it yet for many reasons. The quarterback's best friend's a run game. And when you don't have a run game, when you don't have Kenneth Walker, I mean, you said I was at that Michigan game, right? I saw what Kenneth Walker single-handedly did to that defense, right? And so, respectfully so, he goes in the second round. This is still early in the season. They're still trying to figure themselves out and their identity and all these things. You feel bad for it, Peyton, because of what he's going through and all of that. At the same time, this is a results-based business. I don't know him personally, but there's a whole lot of money with NIL and blah, 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 and all this other. I mean, all of the pressures that exist now versus when I was there, I was just trying to, get an education, have fun, do everything I could to put myself in a position to go to the NFL, realizing there's only 96 jobs that existed in that workplace. Now all these kids are jumping ship and transferring and doing all these other things when adversity strikes at all. The first chance they get, they're gone. So, I'm rooting for Peyton. I still think that he has everything capable to lead this team. It's just you see that confidence start to teeter a little bit. I mean, you see it in the NFL too, right? Like guys, to your point, when they got to the point where guys would go out there. If you're not successful as a backup, your confidence gone. They move on. And being around some of the most confident, best players in the NFL, around Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson and Reggie Wayne, Andrew Luck, Matthew Stafford, Carson Palmer, you even saw it with them at times, right? And so there is some of that goes into all of it. And I kind of coined this phrase myself, that confidence is the most important thing to have when you step foot on that field, but it's the easiest thing to lose and the hardest thing to get back. And I dealt with that. I lived that, right? And so I'm sure you guys can all attest to that in time of your career. It's how you deal with that adversity and say, okay, enough's enough. You've got to find your own way to be able to combat that and go out there. And it's just tough when all the eyes are on you.
Drew, go ahead, Jehuu.
No, you sound like you had a good question. I was just gonna let's get into the fun stuff here.
Okay, before the fun stuff, Jehu's all about the party. Now, Drew, I'm gonna take you back. Do you happen to know Frank Reich at all?
Yes, I do.
You do. So, do you and him ever talk about the record he had that you now have?
We have not talked about that. Well, he also owns the NFL record.
He does for the comeback.
Yeah.
So which is incredible. I'm talking about, it was 2006 in Northwestern.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the road. What was it? 35-3.
You should never Northwestern by that much is where we.
Hey, listen, no, Drew. Before you answer,
confidence is that because you talk about getting those other 10 guys to believe that you can do this. I mean, I remember Stoutman giving this great halftime speech. I was a sideline reporter at that time. Stoutman,
Oh yeah,
Philadelphia now. He's legendary O-line coach, and I'm just like, man. I mean, he made me believe that the team could come back, but I'm like, but coach, you're not playing quarterback, and or blocking anybody out there, by the way. And you were able to do that in that moment. Like, that was an incredible comeback. Obviously, something that, it's in the NCAA record books now. Did that talk about that moment, and did that catapult your confidence as you're talking about right now?
No, listen, wait, Drew, wait. Before we talk about the halftime speech, do you remember?
Oh, there was a speech. Let us know about that.
I remember because I was like,
the halftime speech that you gave, Drew.
Yeah, that Drew gave.
Yeah.
Look, that's a long time ago.
Let's talk about it.
So I'm on defense, and clearly it's my fault, right? We got getting scored on, right? Drew goes in there and says, "We're not getting on that bus or that plane and going back to East Lansing, and if we lose the game." And I looked at everybody else. I was like, "Man, I don't know what the hell Drew talking about right
now." Or what's going on? Is that Chicago for them?
Drew was famous for pregame
Oh
and
my
halftime
God, dude.
speeches.
It was
so I'll let you answer the question, but I got a great pregame speech that Drew gave before we played Michigan in the big house.
The boombox.
Yeah.
That didn't work either, guys.
So what was the speech? You remember this speech that they're talking about in Northwestern? Do you remember that?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think I just finally got to the point where, like, man, this is Northwestern. What are we doing right now? I'm looking there and I'm like, we were getting absolutely annihilated. Nobody wanted to play. Like, it was just a sleepy environment. And so to that point, right, I think I was just so mad that I was like, I'm not going out like this. This is not how the rest of the course of this season is going to go. And so I remember I came out of halftime and I'm like, this is about to change. First pass pick. So then I was like, okay, that didn't work. Plan B. So then you rewind it back and it's like, we're down by 35 points. We need to do everything we can to try and win a football game one play at a time. And as cliche as that sound, that's what it took. Because then all of a sudden we start getting them on their heels a little bit, right? We go no huddle and we are just going up and down the field and we start scoring points. Then all of a sudden, they're going in to score and Caleb Thornhill gets an interception in the red zone. Huge turnover. Okay, all of a sudden we go down. Then we get a blocked punt. Was it Ashton Henderson for a touchdown?
Yeah, Devin Thomas blocked it. Ashton Henderson.
So all of a sudden, it started seeing, you see this doubt creep in, and then they've got this patch on the side for whatever reason. I got shoved in there.
Yeah,
I didn't know what happened to me. My shoulder felt like it came out, and I was like,
you get right by my feet.
Yeah.
I remember. I was like, whoa.
Trey didn't even stop you.
Yeah.
I didn't hurt, man. I had to jump. Shit,
I was like,
I got my suit on, man.
this isn't happening. This is not happening. So we came back. And again, that's also the beauty of playing this position, but also what comes with the territory. When things go right, everybody remembers me as the one that won the game. I didn't do nearly as much as everybody else did. And when things go bad, everybody looks at the quarterback there too. So it's like, you've got to be able to shoulder all of that blame. John Lewandowski did a great job of helping me portray the media. And sometimes I know those people would be like, you got to throw your offensive lineman under the bus or do anything like this. Like we go down to the horseshoe and we are putting it on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are absolutely putting it on them. And then I remember, I think I got sacked 12 times that game. I mean, against all guys that played in the NFL, I rushed for like over 100 yards. But with college stats, I ended up with like negative. But by the time I included, right? And I've never been more sore. And all the offensive linemen sat in first class. And Peter Clifford came up to me and was like, "Hey, take my seat." And like, I played awful today. I was horrible. And I was like, "Get out of here." I was like, "Did you try your best?" That was all I used to tell guys. Like, all I want is just you give me everything you got. I'm gonna give it the same way back to you. And we'll see what happens. And that's what happened in that game is everybody just bought in for that second half. And it just became a special time in Evanston that still stands as the largest record.
That's just crazy. And, like Drew talked about, a quarterback's best friend is the run game, but a running back's best friend is the quarterback next to him. There are times where you're a running back and you're in the backfield and protection, you could lose it a little bit. Where's the mic? Where's Drew? Who do I got? So not only does he have not only does he have to know, he have to, identify the front, point out the mic, assess the top, look at everything. He's in the backfield telling the running, hey, what route do I got? What route do I got? An arrow route. Oh, okay, got you.
Not coming, don't worry. Get out in your route. Go.
So my first start was against Notre Dame, and we practiced all week long, Zebra 32. The first plays are scripted, the first 8, Zebra 32. We get on the field at Notre Dame. We huddle on the sideline before, and I'm too cool for school. First start, I'm looking all over the place because we were on the right hash, so it was flipped. It was Zebra 33. We get in there, green 18 said hit, boom, I go right, Drew turns left for 30, and I see his eyes get this big. And right then and there, he gets sacked for 12 yards. And it's like everything as a running back now, like the thing everybody knows is you don't hit the quarterback as a defensive player in practice, and you don't give up a sack as a running back or a lineman. So everything drains out of my body, and we bang a timeout so I can get yelled at on the very first play of the game. But, Captain Charisma Drew got us back, steered us right, and we ended up winning that game in overtime. The flag plant game. So, but, just great times, great times. The really cool thing, Drew, your NFL career, you played for different people. And this is the thing that people don't understand. It's that relationship that you build in the NFL with coaches, with former players and everything that can propel you to whatever you do next. So you had retired, right? And then it was like week 13 or so, the Bucks call you in.
And this was Christmas Eve morning. This was like week 16 of 17.
Like you're out the entire season.
I hadn't given it no thought. So I get a call from BA and he was like, "Hey Drew," he's like, "What's up, kid?" And he never calls me. Usually he'll send me some emoji cocktail or something like that. So I missed the call from him, and I knew that Josh Rosen had signed with San Francisco off their practice squad. So we're sitting there. And he's like, "Hey, how about you want to come down here and help us win a Super Bowl?" And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "I haven't thrown a football. I haven't thought about throwing a football. I haven't put a helmet on, put cleats on, nothing." He's like, "Who cares? Just come on down." I'm like, my wife, make sure my kids are good with it, but I was like, they're playing so good right now, right? They are playing so good. And he was like, just take Christmas, stay at home with the family, and then come down here and help us try and win. I was like, that sounds like a heck of a gig. I mean, go down and all of it. So in my mind, worst case scenario, 2 weeks down there, get a little extra practice squad money, and then 6 weeks, I win a Super Bowl and got a ring, which is sitting right over there. But,
put the ring on the camera.
And the cool thing about that story is the guy that you mentored at Michigan State,
John Van Dam.
Oh, now that's
man.
nice, right? That's a chip. Damn.
yeah.
Glistening. So the cool thing is a guy at Michigan State that you mentored, John Van Dam, as a quarterback there, he's on the coaching staff in Tampa. How was that reunion?
I don't know if I mentored him or harassed him. It depends. But it was a really cool moment for me to be able to see him. You guys know him, and he literally bleeds green and gave everything to that university and wanted and jumped right into coaching, and now he's doing it at the highest level. He is so well respected amongst everybody in that building. Tom Brady, everybody respects him so much because they see the work that he does. Again, he has that mentality of a Spartan and what that encompasses and everything and how he goes about his business. So I'm super happy for him. I'm more excited to see what the future holds for him because it's going to be really bright.
Right.
So you just said his name. Everybody wants to know, what makes Tom Brady Tom Brady?
Well, I think anybody that's been around him or has been around the NFL that, hears people talk and everything, he's exactly as you would imagine. He's exactly what you see on TV. I mean, he is so calculated with everything that he does. He is so precise with everything that he does. So he's the saying of chess and checkers. He is playing chess with everybody else while we're sitting there trying to figure. He's not just one step ahead of everybody else. He's 2-3 steps ahead of everybody else. He takes such good care of his body. He's so meticulous in his preparation. The thing that shocked me more than anything is how inclusive he was, especially for somebody like myself that got down there as late as I did. He is about the group and the collective whole and the strength of the pack. And I mean, the game plans and everything else where he wanted guys' feedbacks and he wanted to be able to understand what was going on or different views or all that stuff. I mean, we would sit in there tirelessly and talk about things, talk through coverages, talk through plays, change stuff, edit it, because the quarterback has so much control in a Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich type of system that a lot of the onus is on the quarterback to feel comfortable. And he's only going to call plays that the quarterback feels comfortable with. So to be able to be an extra set of eyes and ears in that room, to be able to be a part of that. I mean, we literally went into the Super Bowl saying no matter what Kansas City does to us, we've got a different plan B, C, or D we could go to that will negate anything they're trying to do. And I was like, this is a bulletproof game plan in the Super Bowl. And I've never seen something like it. And he went out and he executed it to a T. Obviously, the defense played at a high level and really held Patrick at bay when people weren't doing that. So it was neat just to be around that, to be reassured of all of those things. And you see the way Tom works, the way he interacts with people. I mean, it was a really special 6 weeks for me to be able to be down there.
Definitely. Well, Drew, I mean, this is our Wednesday kind of preview of the weekend, right? So, we're playing the Buckeyes at home. We asked the Heron brothers kind of what is it going to take for the Spartans to turn the tide and get into the win column, but what is it going to take to beat the Buckeyes this weekend?
Man, you guys are trying to set me up right now, huh?
This is transparent. This is open honesty here, man.
It's going to take Peyton Thorne of last year. It's going to take a confidence of guys buying into it and just stay in the course, right? Football is a game of controlling what you can control, and it's about turnovers and about getting after the quarterback, all those things, man. Ohio State is a super talented team. They can do a lot of things, but Michigan State and the leadership they have there needs to step up. And right now, there's adversity. They're at a crossroad of which way their season's going to go. They got their hands full this weekend in East Lansing. And so, in order to win in college, your quarterback has to be playing well. And Peyton hasn't lived up to those expectations yet, but he's very capable of it. Maybe he needs a halftime speech like I had at Northwestern.
There you go.
Let's break a boom box, man. It might get
I don't have CD players anymore anyways.
Awesome. Man, listen, I appreciate you, man, because I know you're extremely busy, but the family and doing stuff, and obviously you're coming this weekend, and we can't wait to hug it up, man, dap it up. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I know, before we let you go, you're very heavily in the foundation piece of it, right? And so we were all part of your High Five Foundation, and I guess talk to us about, what you're doing now in the community standpoint in Arizona, but also back here, because you maintain that connectivity in the community here, which a lot of people haven't done that. So talk about that real quick before we kind of let you go.
Yeah, I mean, it dates all the way back to when I was at Michigan State, right, with the community outreach program that they had in place there, and blown away by just the impact you can have of being able to put on a jersey and go sign an autograph or take a picture, and really being able to deal with the youth and shed light and bring joy and hope in some dim, dark places at times, right? You go to a hospital or you go to kids with special needs that might get teased or anything like that, and when you can bring a smile to their face, you realize how impactful you can be. So when I got drafted by the Detroit Lions, I started the High Five Foundation all the way back in 2007. And as I jumped around different teams and different places in the NFL, we had stuff, but I always knew Michigan State was going to be my home. I was always going to be a part of that community. So starting the High Five golf outing as we have every single year has been tremendous. We've raised over $1 million for the causes that we support. It's been great to be able to have my name attached to that from that standpoint. And then this year we even took it to a different level of honoring George Perlis. We merged with his golf outing that was at Lansing Country Club or Country Club of Lansing. And Coach Tucker was the honorary chair, and he took that thing over and made it really, really special. We raised an enormous amount of funds. And again, I've always tried to do community-based events that's going to bring people together and raise awareness for the causes we believe in. And then if you believe in it and you love it, then I want you to donate money. And I personally donate to these causes because you see a direct impact for Special Olympics of Michigan, for Children's Miracle Network and Sparrow Hospital, the hospital I was actually born in. So it's really unique to be able to continue to have a footprint in the city that impacted my life and shaped who I was, and continue to be and will continually give back to that. So, it's something that we always push the envelope because there's so many great causes, but I've always tried to stay ahead of the curve, and having Coach Tucker a part of it really allowed us to take it to that next level.
Amen to that, man. I always love enjoying golfing in it too, so appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Oh, well, Jehu's the worst golfer here, guaranteed. So
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
it works.
I put some bread on it, cuz. No, I'm not. Stray's the worst. Stray's the worst.
Are you kidding me?
I don't think that's fair.
You have no idea.
I think Otis might be the worst. He's not saying nothing.
Look, hey, I'm a lefty, man. Look, I'll surprise you, my brother.
See,
You know,
no.
yeah.
Let's get them sticks out then.
Yeah, the way I see you there on the sideline.
Only one way to settle it.
Yes,
we appreciate you, Drew, man. Thank you for your time, man. This is great. It's been great. And we're gonna see you this weekend, right?
Yep, we'll see you all this weekend. It's long overdue, but I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's always a blast seeing you guys' face.
Definitely.
Interesting. Man, great interview for a Spartan legend, Drew Stanton. I mean, Jehuu, you got all the fun, all that kind of stuff. Otis is getting into the real, heart of the issues. And then, Drew, what a professional, man. I mean, he's just great. That guy, you can tell he's a polished quarterback, NFL level.
Yeah, something, off the football side of things, he talked about his foundation and, just giving back to his foundation, giving back to, special needs, giving back to kids in hospitals and everything like that. The person that Drew is going into the hospitals, going into, different events and stuff like that, that's the same person that he was in the locker room. That guy would give the shirt off his back to any one of his teammates anytime on there. That's how I remember Drew. So great dude, what all his accolades that he has on the field, well-deserved. And, the life that he has built for himself, everything's well-deserved. He's a great football player, but a better person.
That's right. Well said, Jehuu. And so as we put a bow on this episode, Otis, any final words for this weekend's game against Ohio State for Michigan State?
Yeah, Drew talked about, this is that time for Peyton to turn the tide, man. And but most importantly, we got to get our secondary and our linebackers clicking on all cylinders. And it's all about doing your job, and having the role that you've been training for this whole week and preparing for. We know that their offense is going to score points, but it's all about we control what we can control. And I just want to see pressure. I want to see energy, and just have bring that electricity back that we saw last year from the entire defensive side. And so I'm looking for our secondary to truly get some 3 and outs so that we could give Peyton some more opportunities to truly get in the rhythm. And then obviously our boy Elijah Collins, man, feed the beast, man. Let's get him going. And I'm ready to see something happen.
All right. I mean, I'm looking to see something happen too, Jehuu. I mean, you've said a lot. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got something. Pete, can you give me a single shot? Thank you. All right. My thing is this. My thing is to Spartan Nation, Spartan fans. All right. I'm seeing all this stuff here on social media, people selling their tickets, people giving away their tickets. If you want to do that, that's on you. I can't stop you from doing that. All right. But Spartans stick together. Spartans ride together. If you ever utter the words Spartan dog, you will be there if you can, cheering on these guys. That's what it takes. There's nothing worse for a player. And I had to live through it. Otis had to live through it. You come out the tunnel at your own stadium and you see a sea of red because Ohio State invaded the stadium because you, Spartan faithfuls, sold your tickets. Nothing worse than that. These guys are going out there, are busting their ass to give everything that they can to this university, to U.S. fans. We're not Spartans when the tide is high, when we're on the rise. We're Spartans when it's low, when it's medium, and when it's high. Spartan Nation, you have to come together and show out on Saturday. That is on you. Give the players energies to feed off, and that energy you give them to feed off, they will give you something to cheer for. Spartan Nation, we need you. That's it.
Wow.
Well, we need some gospel music on that one. That was serious.
That was definitely serious. I saw that hot boy bling bling.
You're right, Jehuu, and you're absolutely right with that. There's nothing worse than coming out of a tough.
Otis, how did it feel?
Yeah. I mean, we saw it. I mean, we had a decent. We were a great record when we played them my senior year, and they came in and it was legit like half and half.
Yeah.
And you need that electricity, you need that momentum swing, and we're competing. We had Hoyer, we had Devin, we had the squad to get the job done. But like you said, you don't want to see that happen. And it's almost like the parents or your family gave up on you, right?
Right.
Like they said, kicked you out and said never come back again. Like it feels that type of way sometimes. And so also, to be honest, like you blocked out the noise and you said, regardless, whoever's here, I appreciate you, right? I appreciate you. Student section, whoever came that was faithful, stayed in the rain, sleet, snow, I appreciate you, because that's when we know who our truest companions are and our fans.
Well, I'll take it a step further. Jason, your kid's a 4-star athlete right now at IMG Academy. All right. A bunch of college offers. This weekend, we're going to have a ton of recruits coming in. If your kid came into Michigan State for a home game on ABC against Ohio State, and they see the stadium is half full of red, do you think those guys are they're going to want to come to Michigan State?
Man, I mean, the reason that you are doing this is not only for the present, right? You got to have some pride in the past. You got to cheer for the guys who are on the field presently. But then in college, and more importantly, you got to be talking about the future, because yes, this is going to be a huge recruiting weekend for Michigan State. One of my son's teammates, who is a commit, is going to be there in attendance. And as we know, until that ink dries,
Amen,
there's nothing in stone, right? So you want to show those young players, those young prospects, hey, like, this is the place that you want to be. I don't care if we're down, if we're having a bad season, we had a rough couple of weeks. We are here for you. This means everything. When you talk about those big-time fan bases around the country, that Mel Tucker is really doing a phenomenal job of trying to get the Spartans to believe that they are. Well, if you really want to be that, then this is what you got to do. In the bad times, you got to show up, you got to show out, and you got to yell and scream and be behind that team, because the guys and youngsters are watching. You want this team to be better and be a team that can go into Columbus and pound Ohio State in the future, then you got to be there this weekend. What Jehuu said is absolutely right. And, for more than just the reasons of this week, it's for the future as well.
Who was it? Was it Luther that said, I'd rather have bad times with you than good times with someone else?
Well, let's let Luther keep doing that. Next time we're going to have to hit a button so that he can sing it. How about that?
So I was like, man, I want to say this, but do I sing it or do I say it? And then it just came out.
You all showtime, man. I know how it is. But look, guys, phenomenal show, great interviews today. We look forward to another breakdown of what happened at the Ohio State game in the woodshed next week when we catch back up. But, looking forward to this weekend, fellas. It was great seeing you guys. For my co-hosts, Otis Wiley and Jehuu Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta. Have a good night. God bless. And go green.
Go White.
Man, I got this swag.